Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you could join us for our Taiji Qigong 18 forms today. This program is generously sponsored by the library trustees. Before we start our program, I would like to read a brief disclaimer. Participation in this online Tai Chi and Qigong program, while generally considered safe, could result in injury. Not all the material presented here is suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for appropriate medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. Program creators, teachers, producers, and hosts assume no responsibility for injuries resulting from the use of this material. Without any further delay, please welcome our instructor, Ensign Rathbone.
So this is class 7 of our 10 series on the Taiji Qigong 18 forms. So today we'll introduce the 2 remaining postures that we haven't discussed. So after today, we'll have the full set. And then future classes, we can spend doing some repetition, which is very important for learning this. Go over some of the basic fundamental details again, and also develop some of the threads, the side threads that we had been getting into, the breathing, the standing. Anyway, so let's start with our warm-up. So standing on one leg, and use a chair if you need it to balance on. And we're going to be rotating this leg in a circle, balancing on the ball of the foot and kind of keeping the leg very released and relaxed. And it may be hard, I noticed in some of the videos that it's a little hard to see what I'm doing. So I'm actually moving my knee in a circle. It may be difficult to do this until you can develop a little coordination, but I'm circling to the outside. So the circle is a horizontal circle. So we do this several times in one direction and then go back in the other direction. This helps to release the knee, the hip, the ankle, the toes, some of the bones in the ankle and the foot. So then we kick 3 times loose, change legs, circling to the outside. You can put your hand on the hip. That helps to bring your awareness into that joint so that you can monitor it, more easily focus on what's happening with that joint. And then the other way. So now I'm circling in. Okay, so moving up to the knees. Push the knees back. Get a gentle stretch in the back of the knees. Now bend the knees, circle in one direction over the feet. Stretch out the backs of the knees again. Bend the knees and circle in the other direction over the feet. Stretch out the backs of the knees again. Bend them and roll up through the spine. Tap the heels 3 times. Okay, doing some waist circles. And arch to the front, arch to the back. Repeat that a few times. Just getting a gentle stretch in the front of the spine and the back of the spine. Moving up to the shoulder blades. So we'll do some circles up the back, across the top, down the front, nice and slow. Try to keep the movement smooth. So now we'll reverse that. Bring the shoulders up the front, across the top, down the back. Pay attention to the shoulder blades and try to feel what they're doing. Put most of your attention, if you can, into your shoulder blades. So now put your hands out in front and push the elbow forward out of the body, allowing the shoulder blade to move away from the spine and around towards the front a little bit and then back. So you can do that both hands. And now with the hands out to the sides, kind of extending out through the fingertips, do sort of the same thing. You're pushing the elbow out to the side and then allowing it to come back a little bit. So this may be a much smaller movement. You're trying to feel the shoulder blades actually moving apart away from the spine and then coming back towards the spine. Okay, so now putting your attention in the shoulder blades, you want to feel as though they're rising up and then lowering down. Up and down. Doesn't need to be a big movement. So now coming up the inside, move the shoulder blades apart and then let them come down. So you're sort of circling like this, up the inside towards the outside, and then in the middle is the spine. So now we can go the other way, circling up the outside across the top and down the inside. So now we're circling in towards the spine. Okay. Shake the arms. So there were some other ones we did before, the quad squat, the turning on the axis, the shifting the weight and turning. So you can refer to previous videos to see those more clearly. I just want to save a little extra time today so we can develop some new things. Anyway, so last time, the new postures of the Taiji Qigong 18 forms that we did were, we did the punching and the flying goose. So we'll review those now. So we've done the cloud hands in the form. We've done the 3 postures, scooping the sea. These are immediately before the 2 that we introduced last week. Pushing waves. I'm just showing you where this is in the form. So pushing waves. And then we have the spreading wings. So after spreading wings, last week we worked with the punching. So one hand goes out at a time, exhale as the hand goes out, inhale as it comes back. So we make an effort to keep the elbow, the tip of the elbow pointed down to the ground. Then the fist sort of screws. We start with the palm up at the waist, and it sort of screws out. The elbow is down, not to the side. There's a tendency for people to put the elbow out to the side, but you want to learn to get the elbow down. Keep the whole arm relaxed. Even the fist is not really a tight fist. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. There's not really anything special I'm doing with the rest of the body. We're not turning, we're not shifting weight really. So we do 6 of these in the set. We'll do a few more just to give you the feel of it. Check your elbow, make sure it's down. And you don't need to straighten the arm all the way out. You don't want to lock the arm, you want to keep a little bend in the elbow. Okay, so then at the end of this, the hands drop down and we do the flying goose. So I raise up my heels and then sink the heels. So inhale as I come up and exhale as I go down. So the hands are coming up to the sides. And depending on your shoulders, it might be comfortable to just bring the center of the hand up to about shoulder height. That's fine. If it's comfortable, you can bring it up a little higher. Inhale up, exhale down. Okay, and in the set, we do 6 of those. We've probably done more than that with this review. So now what I'd like to do is to review the whole set up until this point. So I can read off the names of the postures that we've done so far. So a commencing form is the first form, broaden the chest is the second one, dancing with rainbows, circling hands is after that, repulse monkey, rowing a boat, lifting a ball, carry the moon, turn and push palms, cloud hands, scooping the sea, pushing waves, spreading wings, punching, flying goose, and then if you're doing an incomplete set, you still do the last one, which is the lift and press palms. So well, let's review that right now. So we'll do the whole set up to that point. And then we'll talk about new postures, the two remaining postures. So stand for a minute. Remember the details of the standing, lifting from the top of the head, tucking the chin, lengthen the neck, drop the shoulders, drop the elbows, relax the hands, settle the chest, let the chest sink down, let the abdomen get a little full, tuck the tailbone down to the heels, a little bend here at the inguinal crease, the quad, little bend in the knees, and the weight is centered over the feet. So let's just stand like this for a little bit. So remember last week we talked about breathing a little. So you can do the breathing that we talked about while you're doing this standing. And I think one of the things that I had brought up was joining the inhale and exhale together so that it becomes continuous. So inhale, and then when you're ready to exhale, go right into the exhale. We'll pause between inhale and exhale, or exhale and inhale. Just a continuous flow. So try that while you're standing. Okay, so now we can begin with commencing form. So try to keep that circular breathing while you're doing a set. Inhale as we come up, exhale as we go down. So while we're trying to make the movements continuous, we also make the breathing sort of continuous without forcing it. And even at this stage, if concentrating on the breathing prevents you from doing the forms correctly, then leave the breathing aside. Just let yourself breathe naturally. But if you can, you can add the breathing. So 6 of those approximately. So then we go right into broadening the chest. Playing with rainbows, inhales, the hands come up. And exhale. So we're inhaling to one side and exhaling to the other. And we go right into circling hands. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, going down. Pulse monkey, inhale back, exhale to the front. So moving into rowing a boat, inhale up, exhale down. Lifting a ball, inhale up, exhale down. Carry the moon, inhale up, exhale down. Go right into twist and push. Inhale back, exhale out. Go right into cloud hands. Inhale to one side, exhale to the other. bow and arrow stance. And we're doing scooping a C. Exhale forward, inhale back. So now we can do pushing waves. So we'll do 12 of pushing waves. Everything else has been 6 or approximately 6. And if you like, you can change the feet halfway through. Sometimes I think that feels a little more balanced. You can change the feet again. We're doing spreading wings. Exhale out, inhale back. We're doing 12 of these also. So we can change, I think that was 6, so we can change the feet. You just want to try and keep the flow going. Now we're up to the postures we introduced last week and we just reviewed. So we have punching. Inhale back, exhale out. So everything else is 6 at this point. Flying goose. Inhale up, exhale down. So after flying goose, we stand up, settle a little bit. So the next posture, and this is a new one that we're introducing this week. Next posture is called turning a dial. So what I would recommend is that if you have any back issues or you're not certain how your back is going to respond to this movement, you should do it a little conservatively. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to lean forward a little bit. So lean forward a little bit. The hands are very loose, the arms are very loose. So we swing those up to one side and then down the other. So we do this 3 times to each side. See, I'm not really bending too far. So be careful of your balance with this one. Let's take a look at that again. So maybe a slightly less conservative, I'll bend a little bit more with this, but be careful, you're your own coach in this regard. You have to monitor your own self. So I would start with the conservative one where you're not really bending that much. You're just bending enough to kind of bring the arms down and bring them up. what I found is that the whole rest of the set seems to relax and loosen the body. So any issues that I may have occasionally have with low back pain don't seem to be aggravated by this. And you're only doing a little bit. Okay, so a slightly less conservative way of doing this would be to bend a little bit more. And we're kind of folding at the waist. We're not really bending the knees, although you could do that, I suppose, and that would help to protect the back if you needed that. Inhale up, exhale down. So this is called turning a dial. So 3 times in each direction. So what this could eventually look like for some people, other people, they might not ever really want to do it like this, but you can bend way over and come way up. And so at the end of that, you would come, let yourself regain your balance. Then the second posture, new posture we're introducing today is called bouncing a ball. So it's basically kind of a stepping in place. The legs are, you're pulling them up. And it, again, depending on your body, will depend how high you want to bring that up. Even if it's just very low, that's going to be fine. But if you can bring them up a little bit higher. So you're alternating the legs. So when I bring the left side up, the arms are going to be doing this. So I'm keeping the arm lengthened. I don't bend the elbow too much. I keep a slight bend there. So the arms are kind of coming like this. And they can come, if it's comfortable, they can come up to about shoulder height. So it's opposite arm to the leg. So when the right arm comes up, when the right leg comes up, the left arm will come up. So right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg. So the breathing for this, you can inhale on one side, exhale on the other. And you do 6 of these, or 6 of each on each side. So a conservative way of doing this would be maybe like this. This is a nice one to do if you want to warm up your body. They find that just doing that for a few minutes already, you feel yourself warming. It makes use of this cross crawl reflex that we all have. It's sort of from our inheritance from ancient ancestors in the animal kingdom, right back to lizards really have this movement. So it helps to balance out the body from the whole set. It's also mildly stimulating, kind of gets everything flowing. So I'll just review those again. So after flying goose, I'll just do a few of these. I come up straight, bend at the hips, circle up one side, down the other. And after 3, I go the other way. Come back up to standing, and then go into bouncing a ball. So the reason this is bouncing a ball, if you can imagine my hand is maybe bouncing a basketball, switching hands. Then we finish the set with what we had introduced before. So it's the lift palms and press palms. So inhaling, coming up, and exhale, going down. So that last one, very relaxing. So after we've done that, we can stand for a moment, allow things to really settle. Or if you prefer, you can sit for a moment afterwards and just allow everything to go back to a stillness. So these last 2 postures, the bouncing a ball is kind of stimulating, right? Gets the heart going and moves some of the big muscles in the body. And the last one is very calming. You're sort of concentrating a little bit more on the downward movement. So it helps to kind of move your awareness back down in your body, down into your feet, down into the ground. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about breathing. So to kind of summarize, as I have been doing, summarize the whole thread, you can start this process by sitting properly. Basically, it's the same principles we're using for standing. So you lift from the top of the head, you tuck the chin, lengthen the neck, and just have kind of a very gentle lifting through the spine. But the front of the body will kind of relax down. The waist is just gently lifted. Ideal sitting would be your thighs are parallel to the ground, and your lower legs are approximately perpendicular to the ground, your feet flat on the floor. That's a good sitting posture, but the other ones work as well. So just calm down for a minute, pay attention to notice what's happening with your breathing. So maybe notice what's happening with the breathing right at the nose, right at the openings of the nostrils. Allow the breathing to guide you a little deeper into the nose. So notice what's happening there. And notice what's happening a little deeper still, maybe at the back of the nose where the nose joins the throat. And follow the breath. Allow the breath to guide your awareness into the throat. And now maybe follow the breath down to where it begins to go into the bronchial area, the upper part of the lung. You may already start to feel that by monitoring your breath in this way, the breath is already starting to slow down and maybe deepen a little bit. You're not trying to make this happen, but it is sort of a side effect of just watching the breath a little bit. We're not trying to make anything happen. We're not trying to force anything. We're just trying to notice what's there already. And see if you can feel a little deeper into your lungs. So feel the breath go from the nostrils deeper into the nose, to the throat, to the bronchial area, to maybe that upper third of the lungs, and then back out. So at the base of the ribs, kind of all the way around the whole torso, there's a tissue that is really largely responsible for the movements of breathing, called the diaphragm. And it extends, you can kind of feel its movement a little bit. You might take your fingertips or the edge of your hand and put it just under your ribs, a light pressure, and just breathe for a minute and try to see if you can feel movement there. You may feel movement other areas as well, but see if you can at least feel that. So you can move the hands a little bit more around to the sides and see if you can feel the diaphragm moving there. And all through this, you want to have the breath being continuous. Remember, we worked a little bit with using some physical movement, like the circling of our hand, as a way to keep the breath circular. So with one hand, you can feel the movements of the diaphragm, and with the other, you can kind of reflect what's happening with the breathing. So inhaling, maybe the hand is coming up. Exhale, the hand is coming down. So let's do that for a minute. Try to feel the diaphragm with the other hand. Keep the breath continuous. You can switch hands if you like. So the diaphragm is a sheet of muscle, and it extends, pretty much separates the whole upper torso from the lower torso. So you can feel it in the back even. It's a little harder to feel because you're sort of feeling through some heavy muscles. And with practice, you can get so you can start to feel that. The idea is that you're not trying to push the breath down, but eventually you will find that doing this breathing exercise will help the diaphragm to relax. It will maybe drop down further into the abdominal cavity. So when that happens, it massages the internal organs. Just under the diaphragm on the right is the liver. In the middle, you kind of have the stomach and a little bit the pancreas on the left, and then the spleen on the right. So the diaphragm moving up and down massages these organs, and the wave of movement goes down into the intestines as well. So you can place your hands on your belly and relaxing again. Notice your breath and notice what's happening with the belly. So when you inhale, what happens with the belly? And when you exhale, what happens with the belly? Just try to relax. Don't try to change the breath. Just notice what's happening there. Most people, I think, will feel that the abdomen gets a little bigger when they inhale, and it gets smaller when they exhale. But there are some people that will feel something different, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. What you're just trying to do is to relax that whole breathing apparatus. And when that relaxes, the whole rest of your body relaxes. So where I'm going with this thread, and I've said that you can do this breathing practice as a separate practice. You can spend 10 minutes a day at some point. It's nice to do before you go to bed. It can really help to settle you down. But you can also do it in the morning. Maybe after you do your Taiji Qigong stretcher, you can spend a few minutes breathing. But what I was hoping to do with this was, when you do the set, you want to have that relaxed feeling, have the whole breathing apparatus nice and relaxed, so that then becomes reflected in the movements of the set. So when you're inhaling, you can kind of feel maybe feel the diaphragm moving and relaxing, and then when you exhale, notice you can apply the various movements of the diaphragm to how the set is moving. So then you'll get even more out of the set. But if concentrating on the breathing is difficult, then let that go. You can work on the separate breathing practice, and then you may find yourself automatically applying it when you're practicing the set. Okay, so just wondering if there's anything else I wanted to say about that right now. So yeah, this week you can continue to work with that sense of a continuous breath. And if you have time, you can follow the breath in gradually until you reach the diaphragm and maybe into the belly. So you can use the breathing and the wave of movement that it creates to guide your awareness. So you can do it, make sure the breath is nice and continuous. Join the inhale to the exhale and the exhale to the inhale. So there's no space between those. And then you can maybe put your hands gently on your abdomen and notice what's happening with the abdomen as you breathe. Okay, so I think that's going to be all for today. I thank you for joining me in this journey, and I look forward to working with you. We have 3 more classes, so I hope you've been finding the videos helpful. In the chat section, in your Zoom, there's a chat section. Rhonda put up a link for the videos for the library's YouTube channel, where there's a playlist of these videos. So if you haven't found that yet, maybe that will help. There's also, if you have any questions, you can email her and she'll forward them on to me. And something else, if you would like to have a little bit of a question answer period in one of the future classes, maybe you could type a note into the chat saying that you would like to have that. I'm sure doing this, many of you will have questions. A lot of times just in the practice, you'll be able to figure things out. But sometimes you need a little input, and that unfortunately has not been something we're able to do easily in this format. So I also can't really, I'm not able to monitor you and stay within the time limits of the class. So I can't really see what you're doing. If we were in a live situation, that might be different. But right now, working with Zoom, I think that's the best I can do. So thank you for joining us, and I'll look forward to working with you next week. Goodbye now.